Setting up for a game of 49 quick decks hockey. I've already laid out the main charts for the game. There's a couple things you won't see off camera here, like the special team charts. And I also have these two charts. One's a short man and one's the odd man rush charts. Those are close by because you do need those through the game. But you want to lay the game chart out. I've got my team charts here. If I was using individual player cards, I would use this spot right here for them too. But it'd be interesting to see what some of you come up with for how you lay the game out. Okay, I've got my little box of tokens here. And the first thing I'm going to do is figure out the goalies. So for Boston, I've got the 2018-19 Bruins and the Blues set up here. So Binnington and Rask are going to be the goalies. And so the first thing you're going to do is I'm going to take out a token for Rask and one for Binnington. And we're going to see how good they are. They're going to be shaky, good, or solid. So this is Binnington. I roll a 10 for him, so he's going to be good. Tuukka Rask, he's an 11, so he's actually going to be solid. So they're both going to have a normal save rating of 8 in this game. Next, I'm going to take out the marker, and this big red marker actually the base was supposed to be the size of the top, and then the top was supposed to be 5 millimeters smaller. But anyway, it is what I got, and I didn't really have time to replace it. So we have a big marker, and this shows if it's a face-off or if one of the teams has possession. So this goes along this top row here. So when St. Louis has the puck, I move it there. Boston has the puck, it's there. If it's a face-off, it's in the center. And then we got this cool little 3D printed 49 hockey puck. I guess that's what it is. And it's going to track along the bottom. And it's either going to be the neutral zone, the visitor's attack zone, or in the Boston zone. And not as important with quick decks hockey as it is end-to-end to keep track of this, but it's always nice to know, say if there's a face-off in the St. Louis end, so we got a face-off in the St. Louis end, I can set that up in case I need to walk away from the game for a minute or two, and I come back, it's already there to go. Okay, so we got the goalie set. The next thing we're going to work on is strategies. And the way you deal with strategies, you're going to have these team cards that come with the game. And in the bottom here, it tells you how a team's going to play. So for instance, Boston, their defense is going to play, for the most part, pass out, and the forwards are going to play pass in. But there's a chart that you're going to go to, and that's what these solitaire charts are. And so you're going to look for the pass out and pass in, and there it is. So there's what Boston's going to do. Now, it doesn't mean they're always going to play pass out and pass in. They have other options as well. And so what you're going to do is you're going to roll a D12 for the defenseman and a D12 for the forwards. And well, let's do that. So here's the roll, and it's a 6. So the defensemen for the Bruins in this first segment of the game are going to play clear and active. So I'm going to take one of these orange tokens. I'm going to put it on clear, take another orange one, and they're going to be active. Now I'm going to roll it again for the forwards, and it's a 2, and they're going to play pass in, and they're also going to be active. So the Bruins are going to have both their forwards in D-man active to start the game. And now for St. Louis, we need to find the solitaire chart that's called Balanced and Balanced. So there's clear and balanced, and there's balanced and balanced. So let's roll up the D12. And a 5 shows they're going to play clear, but they're also going to have their D-man active. So both teams trying to get off to a good, strong start here by having their defenseman active. And let's see what they're going to do for their forwards. A 4, they're going to go dump and chase inactive. So again, both teams have got their forwards and D-men active to start the game. And what we'll do is we'll put a marker on the number of goals scored. So St. Louis is 0, Boston 0. So there's the team strategies. Now you're going to roll at the end of each segment or the beginning of the next segment, but there's going to be a whole video that's just going to deal with how to do solitaire charts. So right now we're talking about setup. That's got that set. The next thing we're going to do is put a marker out for the lines. And for the Bruins, we're going to start with their top lines. And St. Louis will do the same thing over here. We'll put a marker on their top lines. And again, there's going to be a video that's going to be focused just on lines and how you deal with lines, because you can get a little more in depth if you want with lines. Okay, so that's how we're gonna start there. You notice you get these other little cubes that come with the game as well. And what I do with them is I'm gonna put 3 on the forwards and dig these out here, and there's 2 that go on the defenseman. And the reason I do that is because there's times during the game when there's penalties, maybe somebody gets injured, or maybe I want to mix up my lines. So for instance, with the defenseman here for the Bruins, if we focus in on here, I can just use this cube and it shows that Charlie McAvoy and Zdeno Chara, they're the top pairing defensemen for Boston. That shows they're on the ice. When Torrey Krug and Matt Grzelcyk come on the ice, I just move it down. But say there's a point in the game where maybe I want Charlie McAvoy to be on the ice with Matt Grzelcyk. I don't know why I'd want to do that, but maybe I do. And so then I don't use this cube or this cylinder. I'd use these cubes instead. And then maybe Chara is going to go out with John Moore. So you can mix and match, and it just shows who's on the ice. So just another way of doing it for the players on the ice. Okay, let's carry on with setup. We got these 3 kind of light blue cubes, and these are going to go to start with over on this player selection column. And then we're going to go back to our D12 because we'll want to randomize the starting setup. And so the top row is going to be on the 3rd cell over. So the first forward selected is going to be a center. And then we go 8, 4, 6, 8. So we have a left winger for the forward defense column. And whoops, we took Jordan Binnington. We didn't want to do that. 2, 4, 6, 8. And so that's how you set up for the start of the game. Now I've got these other cubes that are ready to go. And I'll just keep them off to the side for now. We've got these little penalty cubes. And again, there's going to be a video all about penalties. And we got our dice. We'll have them close by. The last thing you're going to do before you set to get started with a game is now you're going to create your ice action deck. So we'll move these guys out of the road. And what you're going to do with the ice action deck is, get it good and shuffled up. And then you're going to create 3 piles. And the piles are going to have 7 cards in the first. And how I typically do it is I just lay them out like this so it randomizes them a bit as well. So there's 3. I'm going to take them off the bottom just to really give it a good mix. That's 5. And we go 6, 6, 6. And then the first pile is going to have 7. And then the last pile is going to have 7. So these cards, that's it for the first period. So I'm going to set them aside. Now you've got these segment markers. So I'm going to put them on the top of the second pile. And then I'm going to put it underneath the first pile. So first pile's got 7. Second's got 6. And then there's the second segment marker. And then there's this last pile of 7. And there's your 20 cards. That's going to be your ice action deck for the period. When these run out, the period's over. I like to use this blue token on here to track where it's at, just to help me keep track of things. And then there's a red token as well that if one of the teams is playing aggressive or they're playing safe, then I switch to the red marker just as a reminder that that's going on, because there can be a little bit going on. So I just kind of need those visual cues. So that's about it. You've also see down here, we've got the penalty chart. I usually keep it off to the side. And this is where I keep my score sheet, because I like to keep shots on net and a few extra stats, because I'm constantly trying to make sure this game is fairly statistically accurate. And that's about it. I do have the other cards here that are off screen. You can't see. So my 3-on-3 cards, 1-man advantage cards, and the 2-man advantage cards, they're off screen, but they're also very close. Okay, that's the setup. Yeah, look for the other videos to see how to do power plays, how to do line changes, how to do strategies, and how the game just flows in and of itself.